This time it was different because this morning for the first time I realized this correlation between abundance and love and being in the now, living one's truth, being connected to one's body. It is all the same thing. That's supposed to be the norm of our everyday experience, our natural state, because of how easy and how aligned and how blissful it feels. That is meant to be the main state we're in, experiencing this world, expressing ourselves, being in relationship with everyone and everything around us, expressing our individualized perspective through this human lens that we have been given. So this video is meant to be a reminder for you to look within, not outside of you. Hi everyone, I'm happy to be back. So, here's what just happened. I wanted to turn on the camera and say into the camera for the very first time, I'm awake right now. Because I was awake until 10 minutes ago. I literally was awake all morning. I still feel a part of that awakeness within me, but like the peak is gone now. I messed it up myself. So 10 minutes ago, I was brightly awake. It was incredible. And I thought, oh my God, I feel so inspired to film a video right now. Not like, oh, I want to say into the camera, I'm awake right now. Okay, that was not the intention, but I just felt this inspiration. And then my mind went in and said, yeah, but you gotta put on makeup first. And I could literally feel how entertaining that thought was getting into the state. It was affecting the awake state that I was in. For a moment, I thought, no, I'm just gonna set up the camera. I'm just gonna do it without makeup, we're fine. Then I realized, no, I do wanna put on some makeup, just a little bit so I feel more comfortable. What kind of thought is that? That's a thought that comes from a lack mindset, obviously, okay? So I need to be different first in order to show up, in order to feel comfortable showing up in front of the camera. I gave in. While getting ready, the awake state ceased, at least at the max where it had been before. So now I can say I was awake until 10 minutes ago when my vanity hit or something. But still, this is worth sharing. I started reading a book for the second time yesterday that got me into that state before. And it's, I have it right here. I took off the cover. It's called The Having by Soo-Yeon Lee. And it is the best book on abundance and manifestation that I have ever read. I'm reading it for the second time now, not because I need to refresh the information. It's not about the information, but because the act of reading the book literally puts me into the state of having. Having as the opposite of not having. Having as an equivalent to abundance. Abundance as the opposite of lack. Abundance having as an equivalent of love. Love as the opposite of fear. Abundance, love, and having as the equivalent to being awake, and the opposite as the equivalent of being asleep or not tuned in, not connected. One next level, just one more, okay? Just one more. Having and love and abundance and awakening as an equivalent to being in the now and to being connected to one's truth and body, like personal embodiment, as the opposite of numbness, dissociation, disintegration, disidentification, disembodiment. Not living in the moment, not being connected to your truth and to your body. It is all the same thing. It's like I got that this morning. It took this state of awakening this morning for me to get for the first time how all of these categories, like on both sides, you know, this side, the opposite side, how it's all connected, how it's all one frequency, how it all comes down to the same truth, a truth that we can tap in at any moment in time. Oh my God, I'm getting emotional. This was not intended. Maybe I'm gonna cut it out, maybe not, we're gonna see. Ever since my first awakening, I have been in awe of the truth that from within the awake state, there is no lack, there is no fear, there is no thought of worry. There is perfect peace and harmony, independent from the 3D conditions and circumstances that the mind, that the body finds itself in. The state of awakening equals perfect peace and ease and bliss and love and being in the moment and feeling one's truth and being in love with one's self. Pure freedom. Only a frequency shift away. At our fingertips, always available to us. From within that state, there is no other reality than the pure truth of enjoyment and presence. There is nothing else that's available to every single one of us. I've talked about this before, how my very first non-dual awakening hit in a moment where I was in high anxiety and high fear. At a point in my life where everything felt uncertain, where I was still totally numbed out, totally cut off from my own truth, totally disembodied. And still I experienced this incredible shower of love and peace and bliss about 10 years ago, when I was at a totally different place in my life. Why? Because it is not circumstance first. Because it is not change the 3D first. Because it is not you gotta change yourself and be a different person and become a better version of yourself first. Ever. It's just the frequency shift. And that's available to us at any moment in time. It was available to me. It came for me at a time in my life where I was at a very low frequency. That was my normal. And that's why the awakening, when it hit, the shift in the state, in my entire experience of reality, was so huge, was so beyond anything I had ever experienced before. And this morning, when I tapped into the awake state, I did not consciously, there is no portal to go through. There is no doorway that you need to step over. Suddenly, it just is. It feels eternal. It is the only reality, it is the only truth that exists in the universe from within the state. There is no effort in there. There is no improving in there. There is no achievement in there. When you are being tapped in, you're not thinking, yeah, I finally make it. When you are awake, it's like you never left that state. Because it's your natural state. We are meant to be connected to that state, not because it is something out there, but because it simply means being connected to ourselves in the purest, most beautiful form. When I was awake this morning, for the first time I realized it feels different. The quality of the awake state feels different because the shift is not as huge as it was a decade ago with my first awakening in the middle of pure misery that my experience of reality and of myself was presenting at the time. This time it was different because this morning, for the first time, I realized this correlation between abundance and love and being in the now, living one's truth, being connected to one's body. It is all the same thing. My language around awakenings, it is a peak experience. And today, for the first moment, I was like, this is just being tapped into basic, pure love. That's supposed to be the norm of our everyday experience, our natural state, because of how easy and how aligned and how blissful it feels. That is meant to be the main state we're in, experiencing this world, expressing ourselves, being in relationship with everyone and everything around us, expressing our individualized perspective through this human lens that we have been given, an extension of Source, an extension of that pure light and pure bliss and pure ease and pure connection. Right now, I wonder if 10 years from now, I'm gonna say, I called that awakening. I called myself occasionally awake. When now I experience the awake state most days, most of the time, I can totally see the potential now. My experience this morning feels like a visceral, an embodied reframe of my own concept of occasional awakenings. And as I say that, I realize that the feeling is still there, or maybe while talking it got stronger again, so that now I can say, oh, I am awake after all. I just talked myself deeper into the awake state again. which makes perfect sense because it's not meant to be that we experience an occasional awakening for like a minute or even an hour and then lose that state again for days or weeks or months at a time until the next miracle occurs. Yes, like every awakening feels like a miracle to me. And at the same time, experiencing miracles is part of that natural state of ours. We are meant to be so tapped in, tuned in, that the synchronicities just flood into our experience, that we surrender to the natural flow of things so much that we are flooded into the most amazing, aligned, high-frequency experiences, that we attract the most amazing experiences into our field because it is a natural match to who we are inside. Not because we did something right. Not because we've done the practice for the 100th time. Not because we've finally become good enough. Not because we've improved ourselves, but just because we've tuned back into what has always been there. And never with any of my videos do I want to say like, so I've experienced non-dual awakenings. I can teach you how you can do that. No, like my message literally is like, in theory, yes, I can teach you how to do that. But it's not the way that you might have thought, because it is no hustle, it is no effort, it is no stress. It is no growing into something better and bigger. It's simply growing into who you've always been at your core. That is it. So this video is meant to be a reminder for you to look within, not outside of you. The need for looking outside always implies the lack, always implies the looking for the love, for the connection, for the abundance that you do not currently feel inside. State before 3D expression. State before matter. Your mental emotional state before your perception. Because your perception is a result of your mental emotional state. Take care of your state first. That includes nervous system regulation as the baseline, but that is so much more than it. What is the state that represents not only the neutral default, but your potential, your joy, your inspiration? How do you get into that state? By being more of you, by expressing more of you, by indulging in the joy of who you are. And that's individualized. What is that for you? Because my most amazing, awake, tapped in morning I experienced today, it was not a coincidence. My first non-dual awakening 1 decade ago, that was a coincidence because I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't know who I was being. But at the level I'm at now, at the level you are at now, when you are watching and resonating with this content, because you get this, at the level we are at now, we can shift our state deliberately. We can do the things that we know are gonna help us to tap into a higher frequency state. For me, it was the random thought that came yesterday, oh, I really want to read that book again. Not for the information, but for the state I remembered that it gave me when I read it the first time. So I started reading it, and of course I tapped into the same state again. The state was tied to how my perception of the information resonated with my own internal truth. That might be the same book for you, or it might be a different book for you. It might be a totally different action for you that you could engage in to tap into your awake state. But without the specific intention to get out of the state you're in, because that comes from effort and lack and disconnection, that's not going to get you back in. You got to tap into the abundance and the love and the connection and the having first. It can happen any moment that you open yourself up to the flow. And also, important message, different topic, same topic, because it's all related. From within the awake state, you are aware that any time you feel resistance, you feel the lack, you feel the worry, you feel the doubt, you feel the criticism, you are already out of that state. So anytime you stray from that state, you stray from your own natural flow and aligned path, you have already slipped back into the illusion, the mental illusion, the ego story illusion. And I just thought of this because this is something I experience frequently. I'm tapped in a lot of the time now. Not all day, no. Not every day. No. Getting there. That's me being a work in progress, sharing all of this with you. I have many moments where I experienced inspiration, where I'm about to try something new, do something, get into a project. And the doubt creeps in. And the criticism creeps in. And it doesn't say, hey, you're not awake anymore. It doesn't say, hey, you just fell out of the flow. It says, but what if this doesn't work? This is so hard. How can we overcome all of these obstacles? Oh, that might become a problem too. We better not try. This is the subtlety of disconnection. This is the subtlety of lack. But I gotta do that first. I gotta wait until I have the time, the resources. I can do that once I got better at X. What? No. There's nothing you gotta be better at. You already have everything it takes to follow the inspiration from the right state. The state you are in is gonna make or break any project, any dream, any vision. And whenever you've fallen out of the awake state, whenever you're in lack and disconnection, that is totally fine. No need to criticize yourself or beat yourself up about it. Simply notice. But also, that's the tricky part, because from the lack and disconnection, we usually don't notice. You can learn this. The more you practice, the more easily the awake state comes to your system. The more you raise your capacity to hold the awake state, to hold the love, the abundance, the connection, the presence in the moment, the truth of your own authentic self, the more you're gonna notice whenever you slip out of that state. Whenever you slip back into the disconnection. And as soon as you notice, you can consciously make the decision and take the steps to take yourself back into a neutral state. That's step one. Back to neutral. Let's configure again how we perceive reality. Let's configure again the expectations with which we are going to perceive that reality. Let's calibrate the assumption we're going to apply to our circumstances, to our perceived world. And from there, a new chance to walk either way, to perceive either way. No action required. To perceive either the love and the connection and the abundance and the feeling of having and ease and peace and presence in the moment, or to experience the opposite. And the distance between the two is measured by frequency. This felt so aligned, and I'm so happy I shared this with you. I'm so happy I turned on the camera spontaneously to film this video, even though it was not spontaneous enough because my vanity kicked in and I had to put some makeup on first and kind of destroyed the awake state. But I tapped back into it. Because I take that word back, destroy. It's never about destroying. You're not destroying anything. You're either in or you're out, or you're vibrating on some frequency in between. All of that is fine. You can shift at any moment. You can shift at any moment of now. No past, no future. Just now. Every now, a new chance at being awake. That's it. I really hope this resonated with you. Please let me know in the comments below what you take away from this video. And also please let me know about your experience with occasional awakenings and being in the awake state. How that feels for you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again next week. Until then, have a beautiful day. Bye.